Hello, everybody. So we are live now. I'm expecting to see. Oh, yes, I can see some people be connecting to the webinar. So that means it works well. I need you to tell me in the chat if you can hear me well. You know, you have down there the chat. You can set the chat to sending the message to the speaker, the panelists, and all participants, so we can discuss together during the talk. And I need you to tell me if you can hear me well. And where you are from. We would be happy to know where you connect to us. I'm located in Lausanne right now, and Lisiane is in London. Lisiane is mute, but she's in London. And I'm very excited today because we are going to do things a little bit differently. We are going to try new things with Zoom. So if you were here last time, I sent out a form to the community per email, and I shared it also during last webinar. And so today we are going to try to invite you to ask your question, like as in video conference. I'm not going to ask the question and read them. So you will just connect to your camera and ask your questions. So let me start. With the introduction. I'm going to share my screen. There you go. And present. All right. So welcome to Content Strategy Lausanne. It's a meetup I have started about 3 years ago, or maybe 4 years, I'm not sure. But it was when I started working client side in the agency, and I wanted to meet people who are doing a similar job. And so before the COVID, we used to meet together and have a presentation and then discuss. And sometimes we would watch webinars, and just, it was a great time to meet peers and discuss about the challenges we were facing and the solution we were finding. And now it's a little bit different. We are doing it in the safe way in the present situation. But the good point is that it allows us to invite more people from further away. So geography doesn't matter at the moment. And it allows you to also connect from further away. And we are trying tonight a new schedule. So we'll see how it goes. It's all different today. And before we start, I wanted to let you know that we have the next meetup, the 1st of April, and we will welcome Alexandra Duncan. I'm going to move this around so you can read the subject. So she's going to discuss how to design a social content strategy for a brand. I'm very excited to welcome her. And today we welcome Lisiane. So I met Lisiane through the Women in Tech SEO community. I was looking for a speaker who could talk to us about performance, about data, because I know that at some points we all need to be very focused and drive some results. So I thought it was a good way to blend the SEO and the writing and content strategy subjects. And Lisiane is just the perfect person to talk about that because that's her job, to help people succeed. So that's really good for us to have her tonight. And also she strikes me as really a doer. I follow her on social media and I've listened to a couple of podcasts, and I can see that she's just doing things and very consistent in sharing good tips and sharing ideas. And I really like that. So I thought that's the person I need to invite here. So, but I think that was a couple of months ago that I asked you to come already, a couple of weeks, maybe last year even, I don't remember. But then I'm happy that the day has come. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you can take over. There you go. And oh yes, maybe just one thing about the questions. So we are going to take all the questions after the talk. And as I said, I'm going to invite you to be on camera, and so we can discuss like a more sort of apero type, sort of more apero type. So yes, and I think, and Lisiane couldn't share her screen, but I think it's all fine now. We are set.
Perfect. So we'll just start by asking the usual question. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
So I can see all well. I'm pretty sure that everybody can see well. Let me check the chat. Yes, everybody, you can hear us well, see us well? Yes, okay.
Okay, so hello everyone, nice to meet you. So thank you very much, Isaline, for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for the very good intro. So I'm Lisiane Ndong. I am currently Client Success Manager at Searchmetrics. Searchmetrics is the global leader in terms of data and insight in SEO. And my role is really help companies to have great insights and then develop the best campaign, marketing campaigns. And we really focus on SEO and content marketing. So I'm really helping companies to create great content by using data. On top of that, I also lecture in digital marketing. So I teach undergraduate students in digital marketing because I'm passionate about the industry and really love sharing my knowledge. So as you can hear, I'm French. So I'm French and I've been in the UK for 15 years now. I've studied there, and always good for me as well to join and discuss with the French community. So that's about me. So now what I'm going to do today is to discuss about how, as a copywriter, has anyone in digital marketing creating content, how you can use data to actually create content that your customer needs. Because as you know, your goal is to create content that your customer needs, because we all been there. We like trying to find ideas or what should I write, what I think. So we need to stop this thinking where our goal is to create content that we know will solve a problem for our consumer. So first of all, I'm going to ask you a question. What are the main challenges you have when you write content? So maybe you can answer in the chat quickly, just to tell us what are the key challenges that you face when you write content. So don't be shy. We all have challenges. Writing content is hard. So please let us know. Maybe Isaline, you can tell me what people say, because I can't see, I can't really see from my side.
So people are saying that it's difficult to be relevant, that they don't know what words are conversational enough for users. And that content needs to bring us money. And I think for me, as a consultant, one of the things that is difficult, I don't know if there are other consultants, is that sometimes, well, most of the time you have to pitch your ideas and explain why it would be important. So indeed, you need to explain, yes, it's going to bring something to the business. That's why you should pay me to do the work. And so that's the first sort of the first stop before I can actually even do something.
Okay. No, I agree. And a lot of companies that I'm working with have the same challenge. Obviously, there is the ROI that you need to prove. But before that, you actually need to make sure that your content will work. You have to make sure that your content is relevant. So definitely what I find by talking with different content marketer is creating content that people like, engaging content, measuring the return, because we want money, we are in business to get money, and also the visual, what kind of visual are attracting people, especially nowadays is all about visual, whether it's video, whether it's images, etc. And also really having the right data to create the content. That's the top challenges on top of what you add within the chat. So obviously at the end goals of all of us is to produce engaging, high quality, personalized content that bring value to the audience. Because if we bring the right value to the audience, obviously we will have good content. We have to focus on the audience. So my approach today is to make sure that when we create content, we think about the audience, not about what's the idea of the brand or what our manager think we should write. Is about us creating content that appeal to the audience. So in order to achieve that, we need to have content. We need to do what I call data-driven content. What is data-driven content? It's when during your creation of content, you use data. You data on each steps so that you make sure that when you use data, it's accurate. You have accurate information about what your audience needs. And then when you create your data, you have a kind of accuracy in what you're writing. Yeah. So as I say here, you have to be customer centric, audience centric. You have to make sure that you are strategic when you write your content. You have to also make sure that you meet the consumers in every buying journey, because when someone is looking for a product, the content you write is different from when someone is ready to purchase. And that's really making sure that we understand the audience. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to discuss the different steps that I go through when I create a content. So first of all, you need to understand the consumer needs, the user needs. So how do you do that? So first of all, you need to know, before writing some content, you need to answer the question, what issue I'm trying to solve? Not what is on trend, not what the other are writing about, is what issues, what's the problem that I'm trying to solve? That's the reason why you need to know what's your target group, what's the issue, what topic they're interested in. And then from having this information, you can start creating, developing ideas. So once you know the problem, you need to have a clear idea of what do they want. So as you can see here, I have two women. One is what I would call a professional business woman. On the right side, I would have what I call a fashionista. Two women who want to buy a dress, but as you can see, their issue will be different. So the businesswoman is, how many dresses should I have? How to wear a dress shirt? How to wear a uniform? So you can see it's still a dress, but they have two different problematic. And the one at the right, which is what I call the fashionista, is about what's the right dress code and how to look nice and how to really making sure that you have a certain comfort in your dress code. So as you can see, once you understand that they will ask different questions, you can already have an idea of the direction that you will take. Once you have an idea of what they want, that's where you use data. You use data to do some research to see what are the search volume, what people are actually searching for based on the specific topic. So if I look at the right, I have the work dress. So work dress, for example, you can see that in terms of search volume will be based on how often people are searching for a specific topic within a certain period. As you can see, for the work dress, we will have around 16,000. For the day dress, we have around 15,000. So already give you an idea of what's the volume of people searching for a specific topic. And if you go down, you have, for example, on the left side, you have black work dress. You can see that some people are looking for black dresses compared to white dresses. Yes. So you can already have an idea on how you would focus, Would you focus on work dress? But also you can see that people are looking for specific color when they're looking for dress. So when you create your content, you need to take into account this information. Once you look at the user search query, you then analyze the competitor, because as you know, we are all competing. We have to make sure that we are better than the competitor. So looking at competitor analysis is something that we have to take very seriously, because when you analyze your competitor, you have to look at what they're talking about, what topic, what keyword they're using, what kind of landing page, what do they have in your page. You really have to spend time to analyze what they are doing. And once you analyze what they are doing, you can decide at the end whether you want to do like them, you want to copy them, which I don't suggest, but whether you want to be different or do better, but really spending time to look at what they are doing. So the first thing you could do is to maybe type on Google just to see who is there, who are the top competitor, who are the ones that are at the top of Google. Because if Google decide to put a brand at the top, therefore they assume that they're answering the user needs. And then what you could do is to use some tools. So I'm using Searchmetrics for this experience, but you have a lot of tools where you can actually analyze the page of your competitors. So for example, I took here ASOS page for work dress. I'm able to see the type of research that people do online to actually come to the page of ASOS relating to workwear. You can also see the position of the pages and the traffic that they actually get on their website. For example, if I look at, let's say the number 4, dress for working, I can see that they have an estimation of 900 traffic in their website. So as a content writer, you could decide what's the most research keyword so that you can actually direct your content towards what people need. Once you look at the competitor, what you can do as well is, if you have an existing page that you want to optimize, you have an existing that you want to improve, what you can do, you can compare your page with ASOS page or another competitor. So you can see what is missing from one page to another. For example, here I have a page which is for ASOS and the other one is Boohoo for the same topic, which is woman work dress. I can see that on one side you have dress to work, we have dress for working, workwear dresses. You can see the volume that they have and the traffic that they have on their website. On the other side, for Boohoo, on the right side, I can see they tend to use more workwear, you know. ASOS will use work dress and Boohoo use workwear. So you can see the traffic, like workwear has more traffic than work dress. So you can say, okay, you want to write about fashion, but you can see you need to pick the right term that your user tend to type and search the most. Yes. So once you have done this research, you can then decide which topic you will focus on. So just to summarize, we've looked at what are the issues that users have. We've looked at the competitors. Now we will decide what kind of topic we want to focus on. So in terms of topic, you have this kind of possibility from one topic, which is work dress, and you can see on the right side, we have more than 16,000 search volume. So this means 16,000 people are searching for the keyword, but within this topic, you have a lot of different themes. So if you look together on the right side, so based on work dress, we have business dress for women. We have work clothes. We have also some brand name, New Look. New Look is a shop in the UK. You have work dress UK, you have cheap work dress. So a lot of people want to know, where can I find cheap dresses? You can see from one big topic, you can really find subcategories. And something you could look at as well is, based on a big theme, which is work dress, workwear, you can also decide where you want to focus on. Do you want to focus on women's suite? Do you want to focus on women wear? You want to focus on workwear? So you have to take the decision based on the search volume. Obviously, I would tell you that going for the bigger search volume is better, but sometimes if you are a small website And it's better sometimes to go for the smaller search volume. For example, when I look at wardrobe dress for women, it's long tail. If you're a small site, you're more likely to compete within a long tail than going for work dress where you would have the biggest brand in the industry. So that's good as well to make the selection strategically to make sure that you are able to compete in an area that is relevant for you. And then obviously the seasonality. You have to know, okay, we are in February. I want to talk about fashion. I have to make sure that when I talk about fashion, it's the relevant area about fashion. What is interesting here, if you look at the season, winter in blue, what you can see, the research tend to be work dress cheap. People tend to look at suit like the formal kind of dresses. But when you go into spring, summer, it's more work dress, summer dress. It's a little bit more general because women at that stage, even though they go to work, but they don't want a formal dress code, they want to be a little bit more informal in their work dress. So really think about the topics, think about the seasonality, because you have to make sure that if you want to get your content ready for spring, you need to do what are the right topic for spring, and you need to have it written today because it takes time for your content to be ready. So really take into account the seasonality. So once you look at the seasonality, you can have an idea of where you want to focus on. We've seen that workwear has a lot of traffic. We've seen that workwear tend to be more in summer. So now what we're going to do, we're going to look at the user intent. So user intent is really specific to the search. So what happened is when Google decides to provide us some insight, they provide us based on the user intent. As you know, when someone is looking for a specific type of information, they would type a certain type of request. For example, when someone wants an information, they would ask why, how, where, why. They will ask you more general kind of question because they don't know what they want. But when they are clear about what they want, they will ask you something a bit more specific, like how much is it? I want to compare two dresses, etc. So that's the reason why we divide the intent in 3 areas. Informational, that's where your consumer wants to know something. Navigational, that's why you want to go somewhere. So for example, when someone type on Google ASOS, because they want to go to ASOS and because they don't know how to type asos.co.uk, for example. And then transactional is when your consumer is ready to purchase. So therefore, when they do some research, they have a specific specific goal. So for that, you as a content writer, when you write your content, you need to know what the user journey. Is it currently on awareness, consideration, or purchase? So when you write your content, you have to have, do I want to sell by writing this content? So therefore, I have to make sure that the wording I use is about comparing products, is about making sure someone goes into a product page because I want to sell with this content and I know that my user want to buy. But when you're into awareness where the consumer is at the beginning of the journey, it doesn't know what kind of dress is, that's where you have to know that people will ask you some advice on how to style a dress. So how to, for example, if you look at my example here, how to look stylish at work. You know that when you write a content to answer this user need, you don't sell products. You just make sure that the user, you provide them clear information, even if at the end you will put a product page, but you have to make sure that user have some information, otherwise you will lose him. So really the goal of this part is to make sure that you understand your buyer journey, you understand what they want, what they intend, and then you create content accordingly. And for that, we have some tools that allow you to get this information. For example, with Searchmetrics, we can tell you whether a specific topic is informational, navigational, or transactional, and equivocal is when we are not 100% clear of what the consumer wants. So for example, when someone wants a black work dress, is transactional, They know what they want. They know they want to dress. They know the color. So it's transactional, and you know that within the funnel, the consumer is ready to purchase. So therefore, when you write your content, you have to take this into mind. So therefore, strategically, you have to have product pages mentioned. You have to make sure that you have to keep in your mind that the consumer is ready to purchase. Yeah. So another example, work dress women. It's really generic. You know that the consumer, when you want this, wants information. So therefore, when you create your content, you have to take this into account, and you shouldn't be having content that sell, because at that stage, the consumer wants some information. And then once you've looked at the search intent, it's time to write the right content type. Yes. So as we all know, we have different type of content type. It's always difficult to know, should I create a text, images, I don't know, tips, ebook? It's really hard sometimes to decide. But once you have an idea of what the actual user intent and the journey, you can actually decide what type of content you will create. For example, if I start with awareness, that's, as we said, the consumer is looking for a dress. He wants to know something, he wants to have some information. So therefore, the content you create, you need to create guides, tutorial. That's why if you use video, it has to be a video tutorial, how to dress up, etc. FAQs, you know that FAQ is really important because you know that your consumer wants some information. And if I look at consideration is when the consumer want something, but he want to compare. So like a woman, when she want to dress, she's hesitating between two type of dresses, red dress, white dress. So that's where the type of content you will create. How about a video when you compare different option? How about images when you provide different option? Also, if you're into a B2B, that's why webinar are really good because the person have an ideas about what they want, but you invite them to a webinar to really provide them the option. And then the last stage is purchase. That's where the consumer is ready to buy. You kind of have the credit card and the money ready. So for you, the content you create, you have to send into product page. Even though you create a blog post, you have to make sure that that stage, you send them to a product page. You have to make sure that your product page is perfect so that the consumer is able to purchase. And that's the reason why you have sites like ASOS are really good, because they have videos on their product pages, because that's where you know that you have to be really into details of the product to make sure that the consumer purchase. So Isaline, I've been talking a lot. Do we have any question at that stage? So maybe I can start answering some questions.
Yes, I think we have a few questions. The first one, and I totally agree with that question, it's I really like the infographics you showed with the little colorful dots. I use Ahrefs and I don't have this type of visual infographics. So if someone is asking what kind of tool are you using, is that Searchmetrics?
Searchmetrics, yes. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I find these colorful dots like very very visual. I sometimes, I provide Google Sheets, and Google Sheets are not so, I mean, they are not very visual, and it's kind of hard to transfer the information to to someone who's not used to using Google Sheets. So I think this is really a bonus. This is really a plus.
Exactly, because you can see directly what you have, and it does help. We are all visual most of
Yeah, yeah, I think it helps, like having the information shaped in different types, so everybody can find a way to understand. So I really liked it. And we have another questions. What do you think about social proof on the homepage? Like, is it a must, or
definitely.
should I apply that only to an e-commerce, or?
I think the social proof, if you can apply social proof at different stages, that's really important, especially if you are a new brand or a brand which is not a household name, social proof, especially on page, to make sure that you don't have any bounce, you reduce your bounce rate. And obviously you also need to have it at the product page, but definitely throughout, I recommend.
Okay, yeah, that's really good to know. Um, do we have any other questions? So how do you feel like, because I think you have two different types of way of asking your question tonight. It's either you write it down in the chat or in the Q&A, and then I'll just ask the questions, or you feel like you want to talk to us, and then you can raise your hand. You have down here something with the little hand, and just raise your hands and I'll invite you to talk to us. So it's really as you feel like.
Okay, exactly. And so I will carry on, but keep sending questions.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So that's just an example of informational and transactional. So that's an example of how it's different. So you can see I've typed smart work dress is informational. And if you look at Google, it's mainly images, people ask question, etc. When I type work dress ASOS, which is navigational, I will have obviously the URL of the site, but I will also have different website like Pinterest because I want to go to a specific website. And then transactional, that's where you will have a lot of ads, product pages, because that's the kind of content you need to create. So the advice I would tell you is, if you want to create a content, I would suggest you to type it on Google to know more or less what people are looking for. So if you don't have a tool, that could be a way for you to check whether it's transactional, navigational, or informational, because you can see it's different. And then obviously write the relevant content. So when you write the relevant content, as you see, we've analyzed the user need, we've analyzed the competitors, we've analyzed the user intent, the user journey, and now it's time to write. So to write, you can either just pick the keyword and write, but you have different tools that allow you to actually analyze the environment of your topic, and then having the tool providing some suggestion in terms of the keyword you need to use, the frequency of the keyword, and also the word count. And I'm sure that's something that is really good. I will show you the next slide so you can see how it works. So you will have the tool providing you suggestion in terms of words, and then you can write your content, and then the platform will tell you how often you've written the content, whether you've written the right content, etc. So for example, here, it was just an article that I've used for today, but you can say that they suggested me to write trousers 10 times, and I've only written it 4 times. They suggest me to write dress 8 times, I've written it 6 times. So you can really make sure that your content, is relevant from your user, but also it will be picked up by Google and have a good ranking on SEO, on the organic search. So as you can see, data really help you. And don't forget, I don't know what's the audience, to always, once you've done this part, I would really suggest you, once you find your topic, you know the topic is relevant, always use it for social media posts. You know that people are more likely to use workwear than work dress, so please use workwear on your social media posts. Same from your email subject line. You know that's the one that people search more. Use those kind of topic. Same for blog post title, subject line, and obviously don't forget to optimize your title, meta description, etc. if you work with a SEO team in general. So, and then at the end, you need to analyze your performance. So quick reminder of the thing you need to analyze. So I would suggest to create a dashboard. So you need to monitor daily, weekly, monthly. That's the minimum. You need to look at your engagement metrics. I would suggest obviously the website metrics, which are important. I'm sure you analyze that, but also the sales metric. I think that's what is missing when I talk with content team, where they obviously everybody analyze the website metrics, but the sales metric, that's where your manager, that's where the digital marketing manager is happy, because you mix your content performance with the sales metric. How many leads you get out of your content? From this lead, how many purchase you receive? And I think that's where you start, I can say, be taken seriously in your company when you really talk revenue data. And obviously now we have the video, making sure you understand how to analyze the performance of video. And also, as I said, the process that I've discussed now is by taking into account by creating a new content. However, what I suggest is this process is really, really good as well for existing content. So if you have some blog posts that don't really perform well, you can go to the same process and refresh your existing content. So that's it for me. Thank you very much. I've been talking a lot. I hope it was helpful. And please ask your question and I will be happy to answer. As Isaline said, let's talk instead of typing. So don't be shy and let's have a conversation. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Lisiane, for the presentation. It was great. I think my two favorite slides were the two slides where we could see very clearly the relation between the marketing funnels and the different stage and the search intent. This is something I'm always trying to explain, and it was really good to have that slides with the two together. So content strategists and SEO experts and marketers and everyone can understand that we all speak the same language and refer to the same concepts, but with different words. So I think that was really helpful.
Thank you.
And we have a couple of questions. So a really good one. I like that question. Where can a content strategist be involved in the process you propose tonight?
It's the whole process. I would say the whole process. So we have two things that are happening where I've just discussed from the client I'm working with. That what tend to happen is they would have someone in charge of the data that would then do the analysis, maybe the first part in terms of topic, market analysis, and then get the content strategy involved at the second step once he's done the part about understanding the user, understanding the competitor, and then the actual content writer or content strategies will come after that. Or I have some content writer or content writers who are happy and comfortable with Excel, data, etc. They will actually do the whole process. It really depends on how comfortable they are with data. So yeah. I hope it's the question.
I agree. I think in an ideal world, I often do the work as SEO of finding the data and comparing and just saying, oh, this is an opportunity, let's dig into it. And in an ideal world, I would at this stage transfer the work to a content strategist to that the content strategist would look into the competition and decide on the type of content, for instance. But most of the time the work is blended and there is a copywriter and we sort of both do together the work of analyzing the competition and deciding on the type of content. So I think it's sort of blending and it depends who you're working with mainly, but definitely the content strategist has to overlook sort of check the overall experience on the page, like it's fluent or something, you know?
I agree, definitely.
And we have a question. Is there a way to find out the keywords?
The keyword, what do you mean? Maybe the keyword of the competitor or the keyword? Tell me more.
Giovanni, we need the keywords. Which keyword to look for? I think at the very start of the gathering process.
Yes, so when we were at the beginning, that's where we had the keyword here. So I will just come back when you start with the keywords of your users, and then you start analyzing more and more. So from the beginning, we definitely start with keyword, and then we dig deep. Yeah.
So one of the things you can do, Giovanni, one of the things I do with my clients is I ask them two questions. Well, lots of questions, but two important. The first one is, what is the objective of the company for this year? Is there a specific product or service they want to be positioned? And second is, what are they working on their marketing strategy? Like maybe they're already doing something on social media. And then I'm asking, okay, what is the most important? And then very simple thing, you type in an incognito tab these words and see what happens. And then you'll have more idea. It will just come. But check the incognito tab and Google will give you some, when you start typing, Google gives you what other option you have. See what I mean? So this is a good way to start. And also ask the public or answer the public. I never remember the name of that tool, but it gives you also idea. So, and then you can check it out in the tool. And we have another question in the Q&A. So do you think that each content must be written around a specific search intent, or one big article can go vertical and be effective on every step of the customer journey?
That's a very good question. So yes and no. Yes, because we know that the long form content is something that we're talking now, where we feel like we need to write more of them, because the trends a few years ago it was short, now it's long term. So definitely you can write a long content where you try to achieve different objectives during one content, but I always feel like you need to be focused. If you're a big brand, you can try to get into a lot of goals at the same time, but sometimes when into a niche, it's better to be very focused on one end goal and one user journey. If you might be more effective because you will be focused, and also in terms of if you're into the SEO, Google likes when you stay in topic, and it's sometimes more strategic to stay in one topic than trying to achieve a lot. But everything is possible, but I recommend, if you are into niche, to focus on one area at a time. What do you think, Isaline?
I was mute. I think it's a really difficult question, and
there is no right and wrong.
I feel like I have nothing much to add.
Yes, there is no.
I think it's about, you should try one of each and see what happens for your company or for your clients, and see how people respond. And maybe what you could check is the scroll depth. Like if you write a really long piece, you could track the scroll depth to see if people are really scrolling and reading it. And that would be a good KPI, I think, to know that it works well. Or if people just don't scroll, then you know that your type of audience, well, likes short contents maybe. So yeah, but that's a really good question. So thanks for asking, and thanks for the answer, Lisiane.
Pleasure.
Do we have another question? Is there someone who wants to raise the hands and ask in video? Well, it was kind of a spontaneous thing that I said today to Lisiane, that we could invite people in the video, because I thought that it would be good to have a change. And but next time I'm going to tell you in advance. So if you want, to just juice it up a little bit.
Ready.
Yeah. So any more question here? Let me check. Oh, yes. We have someone asking about the pricing of Searchmetrics.
Oh, I'm not in charge of the selling, so I can't give you the price. Please add me on LinkedIn. Let's stay in touch, and I could put you in touch with yeah, the sales team and people and marketing team. I'm not in charge of this part, but I could connect you definitely.
Yeah, maybe what I can do is share one of you handle in the chat.
Yeah.
So it makes it easier to follow you. And if you have any other question, just ask anything. I'm going to go back to the Q&A to see if there is any other question. No, I don't see any other questions. Maybe I have one question about the last slide when you were talking about KPI. What is your favorite way? Like, let's say it's a company who has no KPI so far about visibility and digital presence and has to start creating charts. What is your favorite tool? Would you go with the Google Sheets, or what would you use to, to start somewhere and have something?
So I just want to make sure I understood your question well. So you mean if it's a new company starting from scratch, or what do you mean?
No, it's I have lots of clients like that, like existing companies who are investing in marketing activities and writing and maybe even social media visibility, but they are not tracking anything of what happens on the website. They have no charts. So where is a good start? What kind of tools? Yeah.
I think the first one is Google Analytics. I always believe in Google Analytics and other tools, because now we have a lot of tools that track web activities. So definitely. And then also, if you're not tracking anything, is at least tracking the social media activities. I think that's the two things that nowadays, if you're a business, you want to sustain yourself and you are serious, web analytics and social listening, everything around social listening and social media, I think, as a starting point.
And you just build a Google Sheet or an Excel sheet or
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. And yes, Excel sheet, Google Sheets, that's the tool that I like Excel for analysis, but to track and analyze, I tend to, yeah, go away from it because I find it quite complex over time. And then it can become a little bit messy. So if you can have a good tools when you can merge different data together and then be able to have a nice dashboard, I would rather get this instead of Google Sheet and Excel, because at the beginning it's nice, but when you start having data, it becomes a bit complex, I think.
Maybe start with an Excel sheet at the beginning and then switch. And then once you've convinced the boss that you're driving some results,
Exactly.
you have the funds to go to Google Data Studio or something. And we have another, someone wants more classes from you, Lisiane. So you said you are also digital marketing teacher, and Giovanni's asking, are you on Coursera, or if he wants to follow a class you're teaching, where can he find you?
I teach at the university. I'm not on Coursera. Maybe one day I will do Coursera, but not at the moment at all. And someone else told me about, few people told me about Coursera. I've never thought, I haven't thought, but I teach at university. But please add me on LinkedIn. We can always discuss. And something that I do a lot is to be in contact with different businesses, doing some coaching, business coaching. So please stay in touch. Definitely connect me on LinkedIn.
Yeah, and thanks for your message, because that's about the best compliment you could give tonight.
So do you find that I'm a good teacher?
Yeah. I think it was really helpful to me because you have a very structured way of explaining things and separating the different steps to follow. And that's really useful. So, I mean, even for me, like most of the time, I feel I know what I'm doing, or sort of. But sometimes when I have to explain it to someone else and collaborate with an in-house writer, I don't find the words, and then I come with my Excel sheets, which is totally not easy to understand. So the way you explain things was very helpful, and I feel like I'm going to translate that in my head and use a similar structure in French with next time I I collaborate with a copywriter.
No, I think that's a very good point because that's the challenge when you know a lot. That's the challenge when it as we say in English, dumbing down. So in French, that would be le rendre stupide, something like making it stupid. Like think about you explaining to a 5 years old, and also something that I have some technical. I work with a lot of technical colleagues that they have the same issue. Sometimes they talk to me, I'm like, I don't understand, explain. So the advice I tend to give them is always rephrase what you said to make sure that the person follow the past, what I say in the past, and also always start with a structure. Tell someone, I will start about A, B, C, D, and then you start with A, and then B and C. That's a bit the technique that I give to my colleagues as well, because they are like you, very technical, and sometimes it's hard to explain to someone who's commercial and into business. And yeah, I know that it's not easy. You're not the only one.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Just say first what I'm going to talk about and then say, okay, I've said A, so now I'm going to B. Because the transfer of information is always very tricky, because if information get lost, it's actually a loss for the company because you did the work to find the information. But if you cannot transfer it to the writer, then it's no use to nobody, and it's a bit not so, it kills a bit the motivation to do the work and not being able to share it and for the other person to create something useful. So
No, I
good point. So do we have any other questions? Ah, I have Giovanni proposing help to visualize data for clients. Hey, thanks a lot. We will definitely stay in touch.
and that's why it's good. That's why I love those kind of communities. That's good. It's about helping one another. That's good.
So if we can take a couple of other questions. Otherwise, we can keep on talking.
So with a quick question for me, what are the big challenges that you face I know we discussed briefly at the beginning, but what's the big pain point, whether it's from you or the community? What would be the top challenge?
I think it depends a lot. I mean, I'm a consultant now, so I think someone in-house would have very different challenges. But as a consultant, I think it's definitely the sharing the information, because most of the time companies have someone who is in charge of marketing in-house or who is doing some writing work, and then you have to sort of explain that person and tell them to sort of start writing again, start thinking about writing in a different way than what we learn at school. And it's not anymore about what I want. Well, yes, there is about what I want to transfer to the audience, but it's also about what the audience needs. And then the company is not at the center of thinking of the writing. I don't know if you see what I mean. And so that's difficult. Really, this sort of sharing of information, and sort of I need to onboard the person into my way of thinking with data. And when you say data, it's sometimes kind of scary.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And they say, oh, but you're going to kill my creativity. And no, I'm just trying to frame it, because never two texts are the same. So there is lots of place for creativity, and I actually hope that the copywriters do it. But yeah, this collaboration and transfer of information is always a big challenge, I think.
I think that's a very, very good point that you've raised. And we have the same thing where when we have a tool, because I work for a tool, and then we have team that need to actually start with the tool. And something that is really important that we do is what we call change management. Because if you think about it, they have a way of doing things, they have their process. And now you're telling me, oh, change. When? Tomorrow. So it's kind of difficult. And what we the steps that we tend to take is step one, understand what's the process, what the current process when they write content. They do A's, they have the approval process, they use Excel. No, they don't use Excel, they hate Excel, they use Word. You really map the process. When you map the process step by step, you see, okay, now my role, my idea will be introduced as step 3.5 or step 5. So you try to show them at which specific stages your idea or your project will appeal. And also something that we tend to tell them is, okay, you're happy, you use your creativity, etc. Don't you want to have clicks? Those kind of little things. Don't you want, how about you have clicks in your article? Because nowadays to have clicks, it's hard, right? Because it's so competitive. So also using, as we discussed earlier, the return on investment, really pushing this part, because they might start to understand that, oh, I would like to look good in front of my manager by having more clicks and more leads at the end of the day. So really finding those kind of way, but it's challenging, and I think that's a big challenge to a lot of people when you want to implement a new way of doing things.
Yeah, but that sounds good, to deconstruct the process, to emphasize where the collaboration happens and where two person can be complementary. So I really like this approach. So thanks for your input. And I see we have another question. So if you want to start in marketing, and I suppose content marketing and writing, so what do you suggest to start with? So more in terms of training process than actual tools.
So definitely understanding content marketing, because content marketing is something that goes into different marketing channels. So through the content, understanding that you need content for social, website, social, email marketing, understanding how content is used in different channels, and also understanding as we say, the web analytics part. I think web analytics is really important. And also when you go into content, you have to understand that you will play with data regardless. It's not about just writing. You need to enjoy looking at Google Analytics, Excel, data. And if you are into content and you are the one understanding data, that's where you will be different, and you will stand out because you will understand data.
Yeah, I think a good place to start would be to do the free class of Google Analytics. I did it, and it's really good, because Google Analytics also feels scary at the beginning. We don't know where to dig, and there are so much data in Google Analytics that it's difficult to know where to look at and what to look at. So, and I think that a writer or marketer that understands analytics and data really has a plus, an extra. So, and I see that you're already doing the basic class this week. So yeah, keep going, keep going. And also I think another thing that is really good is, and that's more of a personal advice, is follow the people that you like their work. I mean, it's just like I follow Lisiane and other people that I find great. Just follow what they're doing and read what they are reading, listen to what they are listening, and this type of things, because then they are going to lead you to good content and content that you can trust, instead of just searching the webs and ending up in blog posts with no good content. So I think really following people, and maybe that's a good reason to be on Twitter, even though I know Twitter is not so big in Switzerland, but sort of internationally, it's good to follow people who are good in their job, just to know what they are doing and, do the same.
That's a very, very good advice, Isaline. And on top of that, as you know, digital marketing change all the time. And it's by following people, you know what is on trend, what is new, what is the best way to do things at the moment. And yeah, that's an amazing advice, because that's the way as well for me. I follow a lot of people. That's why I know what's on trend and what to do, what's changed. And I think that's very, very good advice. Follow Isaline. She's really good.
Yeah, I should share more. Maybe I should do a list. I have an SEO list of people to follow on Twitter. So maybe I should have a list of content strategists to follow on Twitter that I can share. That's a good idea. So any other questions? Let me check. Oh, we have lots of thank yous. Thank you for being here. And I think that's it. So you have been really shy today, but really next time, I'll say it in advance. When I write you the emails about the subjects a few days before the meetup, I'll let you know that we have this new option of chatting together.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
So I think that's a wrap. Oula. Thank you so much for being here, Lisiane, for your time tonight. I know that preparing slides and a presentation takes lots of time and energy, and being here after work, after a day of work, to talk to us tonight. So thanks a lot for being here, and also thank everyone who connected and joined us tonight. Also, the webinar is going to be, I'm going to share it on YouTube. So, and we're going to share the slides. So you will find all information also after. So thank you, everybody.
Thank
and
you.
have a good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.